Hey everybody, this is Pops coming to you from the Mush Lab. Today's video is to explain how to birth a monotub. When we talk about birthing a monotub, we mean basically doing our sub and our spawn mix, and we're going to show how we do it in a 54 quart Sterilite tub today. There's a couple of brief things we're going to go over quickly before we actually get into the mix. Just take a couple of minutes and explain the concept of ratio and subspawn mix. We also want to talk about the idea that those ratios stay the same no matter what size tub you're using. Let me explain what I mean. When we're talking about I don't know if the cameraman's able to move in a little bit on this, or we're still learning how to do this filming part of all of this. And by the way, if you like any of the stuff that I'm saying here, you could go on YouTube and put a like thing in there and maybe even subscribe to Popshrooms. We would really appreciate that. So the ratio, typically when we're doing the kind of fruit growing that we're talking about here, and it's pretty generic for most of the different kind of fruits that we're talking about, the different strains, the different types of wood-loving, gourmet, edibles, all of the different kinds. These are pretty much the same concepts, same numbers that we're going to talk about for all of those. So you can also change these numbers a little bit when you're getting further into your own grow and understanding what you're up to. But if you're starting out, and that's probably why you're watching a video like this, my mantra, my concept constantly is be nature. Do everything we can to, even though we're mimicking, we're in a laboratory kind of setup, we really want to do what we can to mimic nature. So a lot of what we're going to talk about will bring back down to nature. And the second thing is stay basic. The whole thing that we're doing here, it's already a tough sport. I call it a sport sometimes. It's already a tough sport. You don't need to make it tougher. You don't need to add a bunch of rules that aren't in the game. There's just a couple of basic things. We stay basic, you're going to have some wins. Later on, flower it up. Later on, add the things, experiment, test, absolutely. But if you want to really do this well, and you want to start out with some wins, start out basic, follow just the basic rules. All of that to say, one of your basic rules is 2-to-1 ratio of sub to spawn. What's sub, Pop? We always hear this word sub, but what's sub, Pop? Substrate. Substrate really is a soil mix. That's all substrate is. Substrate ends up being, why do we call it a substrate? It's just this thick cake material that we're going to end up creating in the bottom of our tub. It's a substrate. So in our lingo, we've shortened that down. We call it sub. We also are going to have a grain spawn. The grain spawn is something that you'll bring to the tub already, to the mix. You've created your grain spawn. It's whatever kind of grain you've used. It's rye or a corn or an oat or a millet or something. It's fully colonized, and you're now ready to take your grain spawn and add it to your substrate soil mix. That's our grain spawn for this video. So the grain spawn with your sub, you're going to put 2 parts of substrate in with 1 part of spawn. So if I'm going to give a random number, if I'm going to do 10 pounds of substrate, I would do 5 pounds of spawn, because I'm doing 2 times the amount of 5. So 2 times the amount of whatever this is what this number will be. We'll give it another number. We're going to say it's going to be 100. We'll do 100 pounds of this. How many pounds of spawn would I need, Pops? I would need 50 pounds. That's how we come up with our ratios. So it won't matter what size tub we use. This is actually a monotub. If I use this, I have to figure out how much weight do I want to put in this. And then, of that weight, this percent of it will be, actually 66% of it will end up being the sub, and another 33% of it would end up being the spawn. So every single different size tub that we can come up with, you can figure out exactly how much sub and how much spawn you need to put in for this mix. Having said that, we've already in our industry pretty much figured it out. We have figured out that to do a 54 quart Sterilite tub, which is very standard here in the industry, and a matter of fact, there's a video coming of how you create this monotub. Basically, we do a video on how to, where all the holes are drilled and the concepts, and show you how to put liners in and all of that. Our 54s are the standard to this industry. So pretty much everything that we're going to do, we're going to talk about 54. The numbers have already been figured out for us. To do a 54 quart Sterilite tub, these are the numbers you want to do. Is this going to come off of here? Okay, we'll go this way. If we're going to do a 54 quart, and why? I know this is taking a long time. It's kind of important. Here's your tub. Your holes here. There's your other one. That's our tub. When we make our cake in the tub, we want our cake to be approximately 3 to 4 inches thick. This is your substrate, your soil mix. This whole part here. This is going to be approximately 3 to 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches thick. That section right there. So, we've already figured it out that to get a 3 to 4 inch thick cake in a 54 quart tub, we need 5 pounds of substrate. 5 pounds of substrate. How many pounds then would we need of spawn? We would need 2.5 pounds of spawn to have a ratio of 2 to 1. So we would want 2.5 pounds of spawn. Boy, that's a wreck how I drew that, but here we go. So we're going to put 2.5 pounds of spawn in the tub, and we're going to put 5 pounds of substrate in the tub. That gives us our 2 to 1 ratio, and that's how we'll start out birthing the tub. Okay, so we approach our tub, and from here on, everything we do, we want to do with a level of cleanliness. Some of these numbers that I talked to you about, I've already pre-weighed. So the things that you're going to need to do, to make your tub is going to be the tub. You're going to need your tub. It should come to the table very clean. We've already cleaned this up real good. We're going to do one more small clean on it as we build our tub. So you clean your tub, bring it to the table. You're going to want a scale so you know that you've got 5 pounds of substrate and about 2.5 pounds of spawn. Can you have a little less, Pops? Yes. Can you have a little more, Pops? Yes. You can have a little more. You can have a little less. 2 pounds is okay with 5 pounds. 3 pounds is okay with 5 pounds of substrate. Don't get too far off of those mixes. At this point in the game for you, stay basic. So, you've got your scale. Now you've figured out that you want 5 pounds of substrate. Here, when we pasteurize and make our substrates, we package it in 5 pounds because we know that when we're ready to make a tub, we just have to grab a package, and that package is an already pre-weighed correct amount for the tub. So we'll have a 5 pound package of substrate, and in this case here, we have 2 pounds. Both of these bags, just a little more than 2 pounds, we have 2 pounds of substrate. So we have a scale, scissors to open our bags, substrate, spawn. We're going to have an alcohol, 70% alcohol spray, 30% water. We're going to have a mister with us. We like to have Lysol around when we do stuff. We're going to spray our air, get our air quality, make sure it's decent. You're going to have a pair of plastic gloves, some paper towels. Here, there's a couple of options. There's actually a lot of options for the point where you're going to put filters at the end after we built the tub, birthed the tub. We're going to put filters here. There's different options for filters. On the market right now, there's a fantastic filter out there by a company called Micropose. And this filter right here is already pre-adhesive around the edges. And it goes, I'll just show you briefly. It goes right here, covers the port perfectly. We use these here a lot. So it works just like that. Now for the purpose of the video, we're going to end up using the polyfill because that's pretty much the tradition and available to a lot of people very easily, even though these are as well. But I did want to introduce these to you and show you that these are out there, and they're really they're a neat product. So you'll want polyfill, which is basically that same stuff that you use to fill your pillows. And the final thing you're going to want is a liner for your tub. This is a liner that we make here. There's different liners probably different ideas for liners that you can come up with. We also have a video coming out how to make this liner to fit this tub. You can use that same idea that we show you how to do it for this tub to make a liner for any tub that you choose. So it's the same concept. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna not talk as much, just sort of go through the steps and just explain them as I go. So moving some of this stuff out of our way. I guess the first thing you want to do is just make sure you're clean. So often just to get my airspace. We stay real clean here, as clean as you probably can in most home lab situations, but we also will always monitor our air quality as much as we can, especially if we're not working specifically in front of any kind of fans or fresh air flows. So every so often as you go, just especially if you find yourself touching something foreign, something outside of your zone of work here, then go ahead and wipe your hands down again. Then I want to these have all been washed before this show, but we're going to wash them again. Just a quick show of how you might want to get them washed down. Use our alcohol spray. Get each of these elements cleaned. Wipe down. The funny one on this one is, lots of times after you've done this side, you forget the underside. So what I'll do is I'll take my lid. I've already sprayed some of this on my lid. So now, since this side's clean, I can turn it over. and wipe off this side. And why are we doing all of this? We're just trying to get any kind of germs, bacteria, contaminants, anything that's going to go into the tub, ride-alongs, we're going to try to keep them from going. Okay. So, most of this cleaning we did before, like I said, but you can't be too clean. This is a place you just can't be too clean. Birthing a tub's real important. When we're taking it out of a completely 100% sterile environment, it's inside of, and we're bringing it out into the world. We're showing it the world for the first time. You don't want to show it a dirty world. So, let's get this guy clean, nice. Okay. I'm going to take my liner and I'm going to put it inside the tub. Get a little close up on this. We've got our liner inside here, ready for our substrate mix next. Get this guy wiped off. Don't forget to wipe around your seal area here. That's an important spot. Set that to the side for a moment. Okay, so we are in pretty clean tub. We're feeling good about all of that. We're going to need some more alcohol spray. So, would you mind getting me some more alcohol spray? It's over on the table over on the other side of the lab over there, down on the lower shelf. I'm just going to fill this up as we talk. Okay, so what we do now is, we'll set this over here for them. What we do now is we take our sprayer, the first step. Thank you very much. Here, would you mind filling that up for me? Thank you very much. So, our first step, we're going to spray the bottom of our liner. That's the first thing we like to do, is get the bottom of our liner already moist. Okay? A nice little sprayer, bottom of the liner moist. I'm going to take my pre-measured 5 pounds of substrate. What kind of substrate? What's the substrate mix, Pops? We have different kinds of substrate mixes. And in this case right here, we have a substrate mix of 60%. Thank you very much for helping me with that alcohol. So this substrate has 60% cocoa, coir, 30% vermiculite, 5% worm castings, and in this case, I'm not recommending this particular substrate, but this one has a little bit of straw in it. You'll see just a little bit of straw in this one. So I'm going to take, and with my substrate, and just dust the bottom of my liner. Where I had got it moist earlier, I'm putting just enough substrate to cover the bottom of my liner and sort of wick up that moisture that I had just sprayed to the liner. Okay, is the camera doing okay on that, or you want me to tilt the tub?
No, that's works.
It's doing all right? Okay. So, that's our situation there. Now I'm going to go ahead, add a little bit more water. Not even water, just sort of a light mist. There's different ways to, at this point now, there's different ways to birth a tub. There's methods they call the layer method, where you would put it in. Now I've got one layer of soil. I could now put in a small layer of spawn, and then over the top of that another small layer of substrate. Over that another small, probably another layer of spawn, and depending on the volume, you probably get 2 layers of spawn in there in the layer method. I call it the lasagna method. It's not what we do typically here, and it has its own benefits that come with risks. Back to being more natural or be nature, we think that if you see the mycelium network out there in the earth, it's just mixed in there, and it goes where it goes, and there are no set layers already prescribed by Mother Nature. So when we're in the lab and we're prescribing those layers, it's understandable and it's a neat tech. But for now, if you stay basic, the basic tech is going to be, we're going to do a nice mix. We're going to try to recreate Mother Nature in this tub by just having a mycelial network that's really mixed and spread out through all of the substrate. And later, when it's fruiting time, we should be seeing fruit up just about everywhere in that tub as a result of a nice layer, not layered, but a nice mix. So having put that first small dusted layer on the bottom of the tub, I'm going to go ahead and put both of my bags of substrate right in. Oh God, this smells so good. Woo. Oh my gosh. When you first open these bags, it can smell so amazing. Gosh, this is, oh, I love it. Okay. In the corner gussets of these bags, there's some stuff right always in these gussets, because the life sort of starts in the corner of these bags. So I'm always wanting to get that out. God, it smells so good. Can you smell it from the camera over there? Can you? Gosh, it smells good. Okay, next bag, we'll just get her in there. Stop smelling the spawn, Pops. Get in the tub. So, okay, I got her in the tub, got it out of a bag. Now, thank you again for that alcohol spray. Thank you. So before I actually touch my spawn, I'm just going to get myself clean one more time. But make sure your hands are dry after doing that, not wet with your alcohol and touch, but okay. Now I'm going to, this is some of the funnest stuff in the world to do. I'm breaking up my spawn. I used rye as the grain on this, so it breaks up real nice and doesn't clump nearly as much as some of the others, like say a popcorn or something. But you'll see I'm reaching in here. How much do you break it up, Pops? Even that clump is a little bit big for us. We're going to even want to take a clump that size and break it up. So the idea is inoculation points. These are inoculation points. The more inoculation points that I can spread across this whole substrate, oh my gosh, the smell is amazing. The more inoculation points, look at this. Are you getting a nice close-up of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Good shot. Look at that. So I'm just getting I'm going to break all my grain up real nice. Obviously, I'll usually do it a lot faster, not doing all this talking. But I first make a little pile of all my grain. break it up pretty good. Don't have too big of clumps anywhere at all. Those clumps don't serve me as clumps. They serve me better as grains spread across the fields. If you consider this a field that you're planting, I wouldn't want to put a big clump like that if I could put that across the field. Okay. Now, I'm going to take about half of what I have left of my 5 pounds, and I'm going to put it right on top of that. Right on top of it. And if you remember before, I had moisture as my first level. I had the dusted soil as my second level. Then I put in a little bit of, we put in all that substrate, broke it up. Then we put this pile on top. Now, I'm going to mist this pile. So I'm adding a little bit of water to the whole situation, but not a lot. I've already was at proper field capacity with my substrate. How do we get to proper field capacity, Pops? You have to watch our other videos. They're coming up. Now, here's kind of the neat part. Here's what you're doing. You're going to take your hand. You're going to reach all the way down through this pile. And you're going to grab almost the bottom of that liner where we were. Maybe the camera can get there. I'm reaching all the way down. And remember, there was moisture at the bottom of that liner. I'm actually grabbing that up and doing this as I go. So I'm reaching down and I'm pulling up that moisture back up through the seed, through the substrate. And I'm doing this as I go. So my seeds are all getting spread in through that substrate. And you'll almost never see, look at this. This is just phenomenal. Okay? So that's what I'm doing. I'm grabbing down, going kind of like a claw, going down to the bottom, grabbing, oh, see, look at that. All of that stuff. See that seed I'm bringing up with me? And it's bringing up moisture into the soil. And I'm just getting, look at this. See that mix? But I have to go down to the bottom and come up with it. This is kind of fun. You're just raining it right back down. And all of that mycelium that was on the grain is spreading through the substrate as we do this. But gently. It's doing it very gently, and it's doing it with water attached to it, almost raining back down into here. So once I've done that, I get a nice spread. Spread this out, even it up. There's a lot of other techs out there that at this point you could make mounds, you could not pack the cake so much. There's different things you could do here. At this point, we're staying basic. Remember our original mantra, stay basic. What we want to do when you're first starting out, just get yourself this cake like it is, pat her down, make it nice and level. She's just looking amazing. Mushrooms like to grow around the edges. They just do. So that's where your moisture and all of that builds up. So they like to grow around the edges. What we'll like to do here, take your finger, go like this. Get your dirt that's loose around the edges, almost like you're making, this is how I make a meatloaf. Yeah, Pops makes meatloafs. And I just take my edge, and I'm going to go like that and sort of tighten up my edges. Because your mushrooms, when they grow around those edges, they're going to, when you go to pull them out, they're going to take a bunch of dirt with them. If you do this, they won't take as much dirt with them later on in the game. So you're real close to being done here. Now we've got this layer with all of our mix finished. We're going to give another mist to this layer. I hope you guys have been keeping track of all the misted layers, because basically you're not overdoing it with water. This is misting, not spray. This is a fog, a mist, something coming over the mountains, across the earth. This isn't rain. This isn't, we're not drowning anything. Just a nice little atomizer mister. So, final, after we've done that mist, we're going to case the top of the whole mix. There's different texts out there about casing. in this particular one, since we're staying basic and we're doing a basic monotub, we're going to use the same exact substrate that we used to build this whole thing, we're going to use to cover it. So the last amount of what we had of that 5 pounds is going to now go in to the tub, and it's going to become our final earth layer over the mycelial network that we've created. So this is the final layer of earth that we put over the top. It's called casing in our business here of mycology, but we could also, I like to call it frosting. I call it that all the time. We're frosting the cake. So I have a couple little clumps in there, break those up, and then lightly, I want that frosting to cover the top of my cake, like so. I was a little bit moist underneath. I have a natural frosted covering to the cake that we just made. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to just walk around the edges, tighten down my edges. And this right here, I can tell you is going to be one beautiful tub. Okay. So, we'll get our mister. We're going to mist it again. This final mist, well, there will be one more after this, but this mist right here, we're going to go ahead and mist the side walls too. Because we're not going to have to go back into the tub with our hands for much more than to put our filters in. So, if the camera can get an idea of the kind of the moisture level we're looking for there, it's about all we need. Our tub wall's moist, the top of the frosting just a little moist, definitely not wet, but moist. And that's what we have. So, we can take our gloves off at this point. Our final thing is we're going to add our filters to our tub. So, using polyfill, I'll just plug my holes like so. This is one of the reasons MicroPose is a very, very good product, because you don't have the polyfill part sticking into the tub itself. But if you stay clean, this isn't that big of a deal. So plug the tub, plug it up. And basically our other videos explain the whole concept of a monotub, but these are our airflow holes where you get your fresh air exchange. And this polyfill, you're going to want to just keep it in the whole time, the whole grow. Some people plug these, they take them in, they take them out, they close them sometimes, they open them sometimes. Let's go back to being basic. You put your polyfill in day one today, you don't take it out until you're ready to clean your tub to use it the next time. And that polyfill, of course, just throw that away. You just use new polyfill. So we have plugged our tub. Beautiful tub. I wish you guys could smell how good it smells with that substrate and that spawn mix. It's Mother Nature is in the house. So our final thing, we're going to go ahead and take our lid. This is key to tub maintenance. We have other videos on tub maintenance, but key when we've started our tub, we have misted our walls. We want to mist our lid. The whole concept here being we're trapping moisture. We're trapping humidity in this container. So, boom. Lock her down. That right there is a berthed 54 quart monotub. It will go from here into a colonizing tent or chamber or whatever conditions are you have. It should go from here to a dark chamber for a period of approximately 10 days. Colonization period of these are about 10 days. At a temperature of between 72 and 75 degrees. If you do that, and you built a tub pretty much following the guidelines of what we've done here today, you're going to have a really nice tub. So that's Pops at the Mush Lab. I hope you understood, and I hope it was something that everybody understands. Just said that. If you like what you saw, please push a like, and if you feel like subscribing, we would appreciate that too. So, Pops at the Mush Lab, signing off.